this video, I'm going to tell you and I'm going to show you some really effed up stuff that took place at my parents' house. I debated whether I should even do a video on this because I don't want it to come across as like I'm exploiting somebody else's misfortune for freaking YouTube. I'm telling you this just because this is life. This is the kind of shit that happens to average, everyday people. You know, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your walk of life is, bad shit happens. And this is just a story about bad shit. I don't even have really a moral of the story to tell you at the end of this, okay? But before I tell you, I want you to understand that, you know, these videos, just so we're clear, I'm not one of those huge channels that makes lots of money, so I'm not doing this video for the money. There's no money in any of these videos. If I had millions of views, maybe it'd be a different story, but I could tell you that, you know, just for full disclosure, you know, my videos get pushed for about a week and then they flatten out. YouTube stops pushing them. So within that week, that's all the push that the video gets. Within that week, I'll be lucky if a decent video that does decently well, meaning like maybe 1,000 views or so, gets maybe $1. It'll make $1 in that week, and that's the height of all the money it makes. Now, having tons of videos on YouTube, like I've got lots of videos out there, you know, a lot of them will get views here and there over time. And so on average, I get a check from YouTube for about, you know, anywhere from $60 to $70. I think the most I ever got was maybe $80. So that's all the videos, you know, getting views through the month. All right, so are we clear? I'm not doing this for money. There's no money, okay? So this is the effed up shit that happened. So last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, my sister texts me and says her husband has some sort of app that shows where there's fires. You know, so we're in an area here in California, desert environment, fire prone, right? And she said that in his app it shows our parents' house, our parents' property or house or whatever is on fire. So I call my mom and she's frantic and she says the barn's on fire. And it's like, it's kind of surreal because it just doesn't seem believable, you know? I mean, from one hand, like, technology is so advanced that you can pinpoint where fires are, and on the other hand, they have a fire. So I told her, all right, this was in the evening, maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock. I said, all right, I'm on my way. So I left work, so I work second shift now, and I shoot home, grab the truck, just because they live in a kind of rural area, and I don't know, I'm just thinking if I need to do anything, like pull shit, you know, the truck's the vehicle to do it. So I bring this truck, the 99 Ram. So I get there, the fire is out. There's probably about 10 to 12 fire engines there, all around the property. Everything's soaked because, you know, the hoses and stuff. And the barn is gone. There's a camp trailer, an old school camp trailer is gone. I don't know. A couple of like small buildings, shacks gone. 3 or 4 sheds gone. Like, it's all just gone. This whole area is just leveled. So if you've watched the 440 build that I'm doing, which has been on pause lately, but the junkyard dog motor, I just pulled it out of that barn and it was falling apart. But if you, I don't know how much of that video, maybe I could show some clips here as I'm talking, but give you an idea of what's around there. Now, my dad had a big shed next to the barn which had a lot of like equipment, like lathes, drill press, you know, just all kinds of stuff. There was several toolboxes he had in there. He had a 40 Ford pickup project truck in the barn. He had this small container that had a 53 Ford fat fender Ford truck inside of it that was disassembled. He had a little 80, I think it's an 87 Dodge D50 that was behind one of the sheds that caught fire and burned. He had an, I think it was an 87 YZ250 dirt bike, torched. An old, I don't know what year, it's from the 70s, I think, RD350 Yamaha, burn, and a bike that I kind of grew up on, you know, got a lot of fond memories on, was a, I think it was an 80, a 79 or 80 MX250, or MX175 dirt bike. It's gone. Small block Mopar on an engine stand. He had a couple of small block Chevys on engine stands, he had a bunch of Chevy parts and stuff. All of this stuff was in barns and got torched. So you'll see all that here shortly. I took a bunch of pictures, but I don't know. I didn't take video while I was there, and probably should have, of all the fire engines and stuff, but I might have pictures of that. Anyway, so while I'm there and they're putting out the fire, at the end, I don't see any flames by the time I get there. I'm like, what happened? Where they're at, it's kind of in the hills, a little bit rural, but there's a lot of tweakers out there, and there's a lot of homeless people. And apparently in recent times, a lot of homeless people have been moving in across the street. So there's 2 motorhomes directly across the street that are 2 different encampments, and then there's a third a little bit over a hill where there's 2 motorhomes. So that's that encampment. So there's 3 encampments, like easily within, say, 50 yards of the fence line, you know, so close. So she says that she was outside and she heard some yelling and stuff, and there's a guy, one of these homeless guys did something to one of these homeless encampments, the one over the hill, and this guy was chasing after this guy. So this guy ran up the street in front of my parents' house, but it dead ends. And so when he turned around, he went back, he went into the property, into my parents' property, kind of where I grew up. Anyway, she lost track of him. The other guy, the other homeless guy, is like yelling, going up and down the street or whatever. I don't really know the details, but looking for this guy. So my mom goes down there and is telling this guy he's got to get out of there. She loses track of him. Next thing you know, the barn is on fire. So apparently this asshole set their barn on fire as a distraction to, I guess, you know, get away from this other homeless guy. And then this guy just disappeared, so he took off running or something like that. And so all my dad's shit his whole life, pretty much, almost everything, I mean, tool-wise, equipment-wise, all of it was in the barn or in this big shed next to the barn. So he lost all his tooling, all his equipment, and he lost the 40 Ford project, and he lost the 53 Ford project. I mean, He was probably never going to restore this stuff anyway, but obviously there's some money there, you know. Not that he was going to sell anything either, but it's all gone. It's wiped out. The 44 got so hot. I mean, the metal still feels strong, but it got so hot, like all the metal warped and stuff, and you could see the frame buckled on the 40 Ford. So it got too hot. It's basically ruined. And all the sheet metal warped on the 53 also. So I mean, if there's anything that can be used off of these things, it's like rat rod type shit, you know. And of course it burned off any kind of paint or primer that was on them, and it's just raw sheet metal. So I imagine today when I get over there, it's gonna be completely rusty, you know, because we had rain last night and it's overcast, so we're getting into cold, wet weather. It's probably ruined. So anyway, I'll be at my parents soon, and I'll get some video of the surroundings. Basically today I'm just going there to help them clean up some stuff, maybe throw some junk in the truck just so I could stuff it in my trash can, you know. So anyway, all right. Here's the homeless encampments. And there's another one right there, and another one right there. My dad up there. Well, from up here you can see fire got up this close. House is right there. Burned the shed. Trees got torched. Property next door got torched. Front of this motorhome got torched. So this was the old school camper. I guess there was a toolbox in there. Generator. Propane tank blue. Barn doors were right here. So the barn was here, and the big shed there with all the equipment in there. Melted transmission. That fender was straight, so you can see how hot it got. Still feels solid though. Mitsubishi engine. Transmission, engines ruined. There's the small block Mopar. Toolboxes. More engines. That's the RD350. There's There's the MX 175, completely ruined. Heads, lathe, drill press. Square body Chevy parts. They were rusty. It's the RD 350 stuff. That shed burned, motorhome burned, everything in this shed burned, tools. More tools. Had tons of magazines. Torched, sheds torched. D50's torched. You can see the frame buckled. See all the asses squatting. The fire department rips the holes and everything to get water in there. Here's that container, but unfortunately it had wood on the inside. That's where that 53 Ford was. And fire department cut this to get in there, put out any fire. You can see roof warped on it. This thing got hot. I'm sure all this shit's just ruined.